Bueno, damitas, caballeros, bienvenidos una vez más a su canal del arte del entretenimiento. Hoy voy a tener una entrevista con una amiga que quiero muchísimo. La conocí en mi primer contrato, es un ángel. Esta entrevista va a ser toda en inglés. Les suplico que perdonen mi inglés de montaña. Vamos a tratar de hacerlo lo mejor posible y bueno, voy a ver si hago y traduzco las preguntas o les tendré que poner subtítulos para que se pongan a leer un rato, muchachos, y aprendan inglés. Bueno, el arte del entretenimiento, entrevista con Sarita. ¡Comenzamos! Okay. Let me do the introduction in Spanish, then we'll continue in English, all right? If you don't mind.
No, go for it.
Ok, damitas y caballeros, amiguitos y amiguitas, ya tenemos aquí a Sarita, una de las personas a las que quiero mucho, una de mis mejores amigas en barcos, bueno, mi mejor amigo en barcos, aunque se pongan celosas otras. Y bueno, vamos a tener la entrevista en inglés. Lo siento, ella no habla español, lo único que sabe decir en español es gatito, gatito, y todo es increíble.
Gatito, gatito.
Okay. Then we continue in English. Now, Sarita, thank you very much for this interview. I know you're busy. It is late in London, England. So where do you live?
Well, I'm living in Southampton now, so down on the south coast, but I'm currently visiting my family in North Wales.
Fantastic, in North Wales. All right, Sarita, first, who is Sarah? Where are you from? What are you doing? Etc. 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 I don't want to ask for your age. I'm a gentleman. I already know how are you, but all our viewers, or all your fans, who is Sarah?
I'll tell you my weight instead. No, I'm just kidding. That's just embarrassing after lockdown. So I'm Sarah. I met Enrique. First of all, met Enrique working on board Royal Caribbean. We had the best time together. He was my bestest friend at sea. I live in I live in the UK. I have a fiance. We live in Southampton together. I'm originally from Derbyshire, from further up north, a beautiful part of the country, and I've been working at sea for the last 8 years, coming up to 9 years now. Probably still 8 years actually, because we kind of cut out last year. Last year didn't happen. So yeah, that's basically me. I'm not really that interesting.
No es cierto. Ella es muy talentosa, ella es muy versátil. Cakes and weddings and all that stuff, not only entertainment, but all right. First question number one. How did you get into the world, this wonderful world of entertainment in cruise ships?
So I've been working in entertainment literally all my life. I started out as a dancer when I was younger, and then I went to dance college when I was 17. I then started working as a blue coat entertainer when I was 18. I did that for a good 2 years. From there, I went to be a professional dancer in Blackpool. From Blackpool, I went on to do other things. I then became a magician's assistant for a little time. I think about 3 years I was a magician's assistant for. I became the third part of a group called Amethyst. And then from there, that's when I was working with Amethyst in the magic scene. That's when I met my ex-boyfriend, who just applied for a job on board Royal Caribbean. And he was the one who actually set me up with the interview, spoke to head office, sent the emails. I got the interview, I got the job, and I started working on board Royal Caribbean back in 2014, 15, I think it was 14, 15. 2014, I think, long time ago. So yeah, I started, my first ship was the Liberty of the Seas. Then I went on to the Brilliance. I did a ship transfer. So during my first contract, went and worked on the Brilliance. And then from the Brilliance of the Seas, I then went and did a 9-month contract on the Independence, which is where I knew Enrique. And then from there, I followed my previous partner, who decided to move over from Royal Caribbean to work for P&O Cruises. and I followed him and got the job with P&O, and I've been with them ever since. Worked my way up through the ranks, and now I'm an assistant entertainment manager for them, and I'm just waiting for my call to go back to the Seven Seas.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's it all in a nutshell. That's the short version.
The short version. Fantastic. Yeah, we're in the long version because it's going to be 3 years media with all your career and all your skills. What do you like the most about your job?
What do I like the most about my job?
Yes.
How long is this interview?
No, not just kidding.
What do I like most? There's so many things that I like. There's aspects, you know, being a cruise staff member, there's so many things that I enjoyed. Getting to meet new people. I mean, Royal Caribbean, being an international, one of the things that I loved most about working for Royal was getting to meet with so many different cultures and learning about those people. And even to this day, I love the fact that I know I've got friends in Mexico, I've got friends in Canada, I've got friends, you know, in different parts of Europe, because it was such a diverse crew family. And I loved meeting new people, and that's the same with the guests. There's still a lot of the guests as well that I met on board Royal Caribbean that I'm really good friends with still, and I still stay in touch with over Facebook. Obviously the activities, giving, you know, doing a quiz, doing something as simple as a quiz, and knowing that people have had fun, and providing, you know, that providing something that puts a smile on people's faces, and knowing at the end of the holiday when you've got people come up to you and say, you know, thank you so much, we're going to miss you, you know, you've done a good job. And I used to love the production value together, you know, the production value of the events, putting new events together, having that creative license, just generally just having fun all the time, getting paid to do what you love doing, and getting to travel, see the world, making friends wherever you go. And yeah, it's just, and I always say that people don't relate to, and people can't relate to what it's like working on a cruise ship unless you've worked on a cruise ship. You can't, it's so hard to describe to people outside of the ship life what working on a cruise ship actually means and what it's actually like. The hours are long, but you don't mind putting in the hours when you know that people are enjoying themselves and that you're doing a good job and you're having fun with it. And to me, it's not a job to me, because I love doing what I do. And as I'm sure a lot of people who have done the job, you know, they will be able to relate, they'll be able to say the same. And it's not a job. If you can find a job and you get paid to do something that you enjoy doing, it's never work. It's more of a paid hobby, you know. And like I say, there are so many things about the job that I love doing. I love the travel, and I'd love that. One of the best things that's come from ships for me are the friendships, and also the fact that I met my husband to be, working on board cruise ships. And yeah, it's just been a huge part of my life, and it's been an eye-opener. It's been one of the most wonderful, most liberating experiences of my life up to now.
Fantastic.
As a 21-year-old.
Huh? Oh, yes. All right. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if it's complicated or not. How was how was your first time on the microphone? How did you feel? It was like terrible, like fantastic, like scary. How was your first time on
Oh
the
my God. My first time ever on a microphone.
microphone?
I hated it.
Yeah. I guess like
I absolutely hated it. No, I always remember the first time. Oh my God. So having been a dancer, and when you go on stage, it doesn't matter whether there's 20 people in an audience, whether there's 20,000 people in an audience, when you're on stage and you're dancing, it's, you know, it's totally different to being someone solo, stood on a stage with all eyes on you and you're talking to people. You know, I could dance and, like I say, be on stage in front of thousands of people and it wouldn't bother me. But you put a microphone in my hand and all of a sudden I didn't know what to do. And I always remember I was 18 the first time I ever had a microphone thrusted into my hand, and it was at karaoke. And all it was just simple things like introducing the next singer and, you know, hosting quizzes. But you knew that all those people, as soon as you were talking into a microphone, everyone was listening to you. You couldn't hide. It was you and the microphone and the rest of the room. And it really took a long time for me to build up my confidence talking on a microphone. I just remember having to go over what I wanted to say in my head before I said it. You know, I used to think, oh God, right, okay, what can I say about this singer? What can I say on the microphone next? I used to get so nervous all the time. I mean, I still, before I go on stage now, I mean, I'll probably, when we go back to work, I'll probably be just as nervous as that first time because we've not done it in so long. I'll probably just be just as nervous, you know, because you've become so comfortable in it being put outside your comfort zone again. I mean, obviously, like a duck to water, after the first few times, you'll pick it up back up like riding a bike. But yeah, the first time I remember being absolutely terrified.
It was like,
It was
no, I know. It was, maybe the same for everybody is. As I always say, even the most confident person gets freak out when, because it's not the same like person to person, like you have a stage full of audience, as you say, watching only you and listen to you, and you are all the attention there. So
and it's remembering everything that you've got to say, you know, and especially if you've got a lot of stuff at the start of a show or at the end of a show, you know, having to remember everything that you've got to say. I mean, I still do it backstage where I have to have bullet points in my head on, okay, so what's happening after the show? We've got this happening, we've got this happening, we've got this happening, we've got this happening, you know. And even before, when you're introducing an act, like, what have they done previous? Okay, so this person is from where, what they've done before, bringing you tonight, you know. And I always have to run in my head these bullet points, and whatever I say in between those bullet points, I never have a clue. It probably just doesn't, half of it probably doesn't make sense. It's probably like word vomit half the time. But as long as I've got in my head those bullet points, I can work it out. I actually remember once, I was talking about this earlier, my stepmom was asking me about something, and we're randomly talking about food allergies. Stay with me, you'll know exactly where. So I was on a ship once, and all of a sudden I was backstage ready to take the show off. The show was about 5 minutes from finishing. I had a phone call saying, how long is the show? I said, they're on their last number. Brilliant. We need you to run down to the opposite end of the ship to go and take off the next show, the show down the other end, because we had two shows. Because the person that was meant to be taking off the show down the other end had an allergic reaction to something and ended up having to be in the medical center. So I remember doing the quickest takeoff that I'd ever done for this specific show. And basically I was like, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. I didn't have time to say anything that I wanted to say because I knew that I had to get down to the other end of the ship. So I went out of the stage door, I took my heels off, I'm in my dress, and I ran so fast down the side of down the promenade deck. There's all these old ladies sat there with their glasses of wine going, oh, like, where's the fire? You know, and there I am in my dress going, evening, 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 like running down the promenade deck. I got to the backstage, grabbed the microphone, I went, who's on? Like, just jog my memory. What have they done? And I put my shoes on, and literally walked on stage. And at that point, I don't know how I managed to do it, but I managed to flag that so badly. Like, well, I wouldn't say badly. I think I did quite a good job of it. But by the time I got off stage, I went, what did I actually say? I can't even remember. But that's one of the things I love about the job, is sometimes just not even having the opportunity to think what you've got to say, and you've just got to go out there and you've just got to think on your feet and just do it. Yeah, I always remember just me in my dress, just taking my heels off and just running down this promenade deck, and all these people, I'm going, excuse me. It was, yeah, shit life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sheep's life, not the other thing you're thinking.
No, not the other thing. Ship.
As a crew staff, the most embarrassing moment in an activity or doing whatever it is, most embarrassing moment, like you say, oh my goodness, what I did, like embarrassing.
I think there's too many, but I think one of the most embarrassing ones was when I was on Rock. I don't know if I can actually say this. Can I say this? It's quite.
Yeah, just say whatever you want. This is not for kids, so you can say whatever.
Okay. So not PG sensitive. That's fine. So I think one of them that springs to mind with it was when I was on board the Independence with you, and I think you know this. I think I've told you this already. I was doing Bago, yeah. And I always remember there was the pool side was packed.
Yes.
And we had a line, like a huge line of people wanting to play Bago.
Yeah. Yes.
And one of the guys threw the beanbag, and it went into like half into the hole and half on the wooden block.
Yeah.
And as he threw his second one, obviously we're commentating the whole time for just pure entertainment reasons, and I always remember the second beanbag dragged the other beanbag through the hole, and I said something along the lines of well done, whatever his name was. I bet that's never happened to you before, two in the hole at the same time. So obviously people then started chuckling. I heard people chuckling around the swimming pool, and then I kind of realized what I'd said, and I was mortified at the fact that I'd just said in front of a poolside full of children, great job, two in the hole at the same time. Like, bet you've never done that before like this. Well, that was it. I think he was more embarrassed than I was. Well, I don't know. I think I was quite embarrassed. But there was so many. There's too many. That's probably one of them that sticks into my head. I mean, I've said all sorts on the microphone that have just been Freudian slips, all sorts of different things. But I don't think I once fell as I came off on stage, and I always remember it was one of the first times of me hosting in this specific venue, and I planned out what I wanted to say and not judged the spacing. And it was I was with my recent company when this happened, and I was backstage in the it was in the middle lounge. The orchestra was all set up, and I didn't realize that I didn't have that much room. As I walked on from the wing onto the stage, as I walked out of the curtain, the orchestra was literally there. And so I had to do this little shuffle around the side, like the play on music by this point has pretty much already finished, and I'd not even got into the center of the stage yet. And as I did this little shimmy to get around the orchestra, I didn't realize, but there was a step down onto the lower part of the stage. and I stacked it. And I mean, luckily it didn't fall on my face, but enough for everybody to notice that I'd just fallen down the step. And I got a bit of a round of applause, which was nice. Because even in 6-inch heels, I still managed to regain my balance. But yeah, my manager was watching. Needless to say, I didn't live it down for a long time. Yeah, they're Enrique, there's so many things that have happened.
Okay, those one of the most. I mean, they come into your mind. Like
Oh,
those two,
well,
they come
yeah.
to your mind. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries, no worries. We all have like many of those.
I'll probably get halfway through the interview and then I'll remember something else.
All right, all right, all right. No worries, no worries. All right, now the opposite thing. Any moment that touches you or made you realize how important is that work, that job. That when somebody say something that touches you and made you realize like, because some people say, we're just entertainers, we're just crews have make the people have fun, but sometimes you don't realize how important this is for so many people, or how you can touch that people in some points. Is one happens to you one of those?
There's do you know what, there have actually there's been quite a few of those, when at the end of a cruise and people will come up to you and they'll have that moment with you and like you say, on a more serious moment. And the day that when they make a point of coming to find you to thank you for giving them a holiday that they will never forget, for teaching them. There's been quite a few of those. I always remember there was one gentleman, and we were actually we did a bit of ballroom dancing on. We do a lot of sort of tea dance scenarios and stuff with piano, and there was one guy who had actually recently lost his wife a couple of years previous, and I was actually dancing with him. And one of the things that really and I got very tearful was that he said, "Thank you, you've made my cruise." He said, "You've dancing with me." He said, "You've reminded me of my wife." He said, "You dance exactly like her." He said, "And you've allowed me to dance with her one more time." And that, to me, that was like, wow, okay. And we both sat down together and we had a bit of a cry. And there's been a lot of moments, and you get close to people and you bond with them on a friendship level, and you get to know them and you get to know their story, you get to know their background, you get to know where they come from. And there's a lot of, quite sadly, there's a lot of the demographics that I've worked with, you'll come back, you'll meet them one year, and then you come back and you ask how their husband is or how their wife is, and they say, well, they were meant to be here but they're not anymore. And because you've obviously, over a couple of contracts, you've bonded with these people, when they actually come then by themselves because their partners have sadly passed away, it gets to you as well. And you do gain a lot of these friendships. Like I say, there's a lot of people that I've become friends with with guests, and they add you on Facebook, and I've stayed in touch with a lot of people that I've from 7-8 years ago. And then they check in on you from time to time and ask how things are going. And it's those people that that take the time, even now, 8 years later, 5 years later, that reach out to you to ask how you're doing. That you've imprinted on them in some way, because they still want to talk to you. And I think that means a lot.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Yes. Now, I don't know if you remember, it wasn't our first contact together. Okay, our only contact together on Independence.
It seemed like more than one contract. It was that long.
It was a Mexican guy. He was a doctor. It was after 70s, and he comes to me and he told me, please translate her, like I was telling you, like you looks beautiful and wonderful dancer and blah, 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 you're really happy. But it was like, I don't know, like I saw him like with his family, like saying like it because she's dancing beautiful and I don't know, it's like what effect you get in on them. And he's telling me, please translate to her what I said. You have to look really happy and like thank you. And it's that kind of in the moment that unfortunately the barrier of the language, but blah, blah, because then you ask me what he say and I explain to you and blah, blah, blah. But it was like how just for dance, for one little show, you can touch some people for whatever reason. I don't know his reasons, but he was looking like really happy and maybe you remind him something about whatever in his life. But that's why I mean, and some other reasons, but I remember that specifically with you because he was asking me to translate and he was like, of course, you're like
With my fro that I had, my wig.
okay. All right. Next question, if you don't mind. How do you think?
It was no, we can't see you. It's being recorded though, so I don't know if you want to put your head on. You can wave to Enrique though if you like. My stepmom's waving at you.
I said, Mom, I remember you, all right? I remember.
He says he remembers you. Sorry about that.
Oh, there's no worries.
It's live entertainment, Enrique. Live entertainment.
Exactly. You never know what is going to happen. You have to fix it. How do you think about those people who feel they for those people that they feel like divas on the job, like they come, they same you do your same position, they say your stuff on the name tag, they feel like divas and I am the best and they're please. What do you think about this? And now that you are on the step up position and the manager assistant, on those that are crew staff, but they feel like divas and I'm the best and that always one or two on each team.
You mean people that don't really want to move position, or do you mean the
No, that they are your same position. For example, you and I, we are crew staff, and these members of the team, like they feel like I'm the diva, I'm the best, and as a crew staff, and as a activities manager or as a.
so the people that don't necessarily work as a team, they're in it for themselves, and they can be quite big characters. You mean like the arrogance, or
yes, like they feel like, oh yeah, man, you're not like me, and I'm better than you, and
you know, I think I'm going to try and be very diplomatic with my no, do you know what? I think in entertainment you get a lot of personalities. We work with a lot of different people. You know, some people can be more shy, and I've worked with people who have been. I've watched them really blossom. Yeah, and from being quite shy characters to becoming, you know, full roses in bloom when they, you know, after doing the first contract with them and going back to them on their fifth contract and all of a sudden going, wow, you know, you've really come out of your shell. But I think sometimes you can work with characters like you say that, and we've both worked with our fair share of them, that sometimes do think that they can be they're better than sometimes what they think they are. I mean, I'm not preaching saying that I am you know, that I'm wonderful. I enjoy my job and it is like I make it, you know, and I am who I am, and I've always had that attitude. If people don't like me, that's fine, you know, but I've always got room for improvement. You know, I'm always one who looks at other people and go, do you know what? That was really good. I'm gonna I'm going to borrow that. Or, you know, you learn from managers, you learn from teammates, you learn from people around you. And I not really that I don't have a lot of time for people that that have, you know, that think they're better, that they don't need to learn because they already know everything. I don't believe that there are, you know, I don't think that there are people, I think everybody, there is always room for scope, there is always room to learn something new. And people who claim that they already know everything, they don't. I think a lot of it is sometimes just a front, maybe. But yeah, I don't think that it is difficult to sometimes work with people like that. But you have to find a way of making, you know, find a way around that, or find a way of, you know, making them realize that they don't always know best, and that there is still time, you know, and there is still areas that they need to improve on, or that they need to learn, you know, and there's always room for development, always room for development. You know, you can have, you can take an event and take it to the next level, just because you've done that event the same every single time and you're like, I know exactly what I'm doing. You know, if you already know it, then look on how you can develop it. So people who have the big I know everything attitude, there's still room to, there's always room to learn. I don't get on with people like that. I clash quite a lot with people that think they know everything.
I mean, I'm agree with you.
In the nicest way possible.
Exactly. Yes. All right. Nice. Someone told me once, and I applied the same thing. One person, which I respect a lot. He told me, like, Enrique, don't get that position. You know, you don't know everything. I have 20 years on this job and I'm still learning. And I say, like, interesting. And it is true. You can be doing for years and years and you're still learning every day, because it's changing. I mean, it is not the same since we start and now. It is a lot of things are changing in 5 years or 2 years. Or
Oh my God, there's always
new
development.
normal is going to be so much changing. So
That's you always have to, do you know what, one of the things that, going back to your first question, one of the things that I love the most about the job is it makes you think on your feet. Nothing is ever, no day is ever the same. There's change all the time. You have to think on your feet. You have to be able to adapt, and adapt quickly at some points. Like, say, for example, if you go from a port day, all of a sudden you've got a sea day, you know, you've got to think how to adapt that and how to change it and what to do and how to work as a team to make that happen. And that's one of the things that I love the most. So I think to have the attitude of I already know everything, I think it's the wrong attitude to have when you work at sea.
I agree. Perfect. Oh, question. How much entertainment has changed since you start until now?
So much. Entertainment's always changing. There's like I say, in relation to the previous question, like there's always room for development, there's always room for scope, there's always room for something new, you know. And I think it's important that entertainment changes, because it doesn't become sterile, it doesn't become, you know, I think it's important to constantly refresh stuff, because especially if you've got repeating guests coming back all the time, you don't want them to, they like tradition, but I also think there's a lot of people that expect to see new things and try new things as well. I think it's really important to keep that, to keep up with modern times, to keep up with change, to keep up with the competition. I think there's so many cruise companies out there, and you know, so many things that they all offer individually. That I think it's really important to keep up with the times, and to refresh things. And I've seen a lot of that since starting 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
8 years. I'm old now, Enrique.
You're not old. You're fantastic. You're beautiful. As an angel. I mean, yes.
Hell's angel. Yeah.
Okay, I do the same questions for all my guests that I do these interviews, kind of interviews. Your opinion for those people, they think that being a cruise staff is like being on vacation. I know.
I think my face says it all. I think genuinely, I think being cruise, I think a lot of people underestimate how difficult our job is as entertainment, as cruise staff. I always remember coming home, spending my leave time. Obviously, our leave time is our leave time. It's all of our weekends that we don't get when you're on board. We don't, you don't get days off. You get a bit of time off the shore. You get a couple of hours off. You get an evening off.
Something happened with your mic, or I don't know. I can't
Oh,
hear.
sorry. Is this
No,
okay?
let me say something.
Hello.
Fantastic.
Okay. So, sorry about that.
No worries.
So, yeah, there are, we get a bit of time off to go ashore. We do get those luxuries of being able to go ashore and go and enjoy a little bit of time off. And we get the odd evening where, we maybe don't get up on as many activities, or you get what you call it, a standby night, or, depending on the company, some people get nights off. But the amount of hours that we work and the amount of hours that we put in, and the amount of not only the hours, but the energy that you have to have as an entertainment host or a cruise staff member, you've got to be on it all the time, and it's exhausting. And I always remember when I came home on leave and having that time to just be able to switch off and relax and know that you've not got to constantly be on show all the time. And I used to remember my brother used to sit, he used to work from home when we lived in the office, and he used to say, aren't you going to do anything? Are you just going to sit and watch TV? And like, yeah, I'm just going to sit and have a day of watching TV because I can, and because you don't know what it's like, and you don't know how many hours we do on board and how exhausting it is. And I always remember when my dad and my stepmom came on board and they came for a holiday, and it wasn't until after they left that whenever my brother used to then bug me about how would I be doing anything, or would I just be sat watching TV, they always just turn around and stick up to me and say, this is Sarah's time off now. You don't know what it's like. They put a lot of hours in. It's far from a vacation. I wish it was a vacation, but it's far from it. You are on it from morning until night when you go to bed. If you're walking, you just can't switch off. You've got to constantly have a smile on your face all the time, no matter how much of a bad day you've had, no matter what news you've received from home, if you've had good news or bad news, you cannot take that out onto the floor. You've got to have this sometimes this forced smile. A lot of the time, if you've had bad news from home, the guests don't want to know that you've had bad news.
Yeah.
You've got to put it on, and it's exhausting. And it's not a vacation. And I think the people that have that view, I think that they don't know. And it goes back to the whole shipwreck thing. If you've not done it, you don't really understand it. Is my opinion. But we love our job. We love what we do. If we didn't love it, we wouldn't do it.
Exactly. Totally agree with you. Totally agree. There is a time when your work stopped to being fun.
Was there ever a time when my work stopped being fun?
Yeah.
No, because I'm still doing it.
Always loving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy new challenges, and as long as I've got a new challenge, then I enjoy it. As soon as those challenges, as soon as don't feel like I can take anything else from the job, that's when I know my time to leave will be. But until that day, I love it. I love doing what I do.
Fantastic, bombastic, interesting.
Interesting.
A tip for those people, for these people who wants to be a cruise staff or working on cruise ships. a tip you can send to. Hi, Dad.
They just said that the barbecue is nearly it's
okay. The barbecue is ready.
So your question.
A tip for those people. You can give any tip for those people who wants to be a cruise staff on any cruise ships company.
Yeah, you know what? Cruise ship life. I've always said to everybody, cruise ship life isn't for everybody. You are like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. But if you find that you love it, savor every minute, enjoy it. Keep yourself to yourself as much as you can. Have your friends. Do the socializing. Be careful what you tell people. Trust only your closest friends, because Enrique, you being one of them. Find that one friend who you really, really trust. And a lot of people trust in people, and I've learned before, you can sometimes put trust in people too soon, and it will eventually come back and bite you in the ass. So don't trust everybody, but
yeah.
Have I gone? It says my internet connection is unstable. Am I back?
Yes, you're back. You're back. I see. Yeah, exactly.
Am I okay?
Yes. I got you.
My battery my battery is very low. So yeah, don't trust everybody. Enjoy it. Make friends. Live life. Love it. Do your job well. You'll have no problems. And yeah, just go out there and do what you do best, and just make the most of it. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else I can really say other than yeah, if you find that ship life is for you, then challenge yourself, put yourself out there to learn new things, to push yourself to be the best at what you can do, and go out and enjoy yourself.
Fantastic, bombastic. Well, thank you, Sarita. Thank you very much for this time. I know you have to go to your barbecue with your family.
And I think everyone's tummies are rumbling. They're waiting for me.
Please, any social network or something they can follow? You have your followers, I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, or you're not that kind of...
Yeah, I've got my Facebook. So jump on Facebook, follow me. They'll find me through you. I'm friends with you, so people will find me through you.
Exactly. So no Instagram, only Facebook.
I do actually have an Instagram. Yeah, it's I need to remember my username now. Fret Pants.
All right.
Fret Pants 0402.
Basically, she don't want you to follow her. All right. All right. Thank you one more time, Sarita. Thank you very much. Thank you for this time. It's lovely to see you again after 5-6 years. Don't see
I know, it's been so long.
We have to do
Let's not leave it so long next time.
Exactly. Yes, I have to do this more often. And I love you. You know that. It's a friend. I don't want your fiance to come to punch my face, but I love you.
I talk about you all the time, Enrique. He already knows about my love affair with you.
Okay, Sarita, thank you very much. I let you go to dinner or lunch or whatever it is time in there.
The sun is shining. We have to make the most of it over here.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You take care. It's so lovely to see you.
I know. I mean, thank you.
Bye-bye, darling.
Bye, darling.